What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at Theodore Tiger Flowers, who is better known as the Georgia Deacon. He was born August 5th, 1895 in Camille, Georgia. That's located in Mitchell County. And he died November 16th, 1927. He was 32 years of age at the time of his death. The Tiger Flowers was laid to rest in Lincoln Cemetery, which is located in Atlanta, Georgia. He stood 5 foot 10 and a half inches. He had a 76-inch reach. He was a black middleweight southpaw who weighed between 157 to 169 and a quarter pounds. He had a total fight career of 161 bouts, 136 wins, 15 losses, 8 draws, 2 no contests, and 56 explosive knockouts. Now, Flowers had preached the gospel, carrying a Bible wherever he went. He was known as the Georgia Deacon. He was the second black American champion in boxing history. He was right behind Jack Johnson, who became the heavyweight champion. 1908, Sydney, Australia, when he knocked out Tommy Burns. And he himself became the second black American champion as a middleweight when he defeated Harry Greb in 1926, New York's Madison Square Garden. December 6, 1918 to November 12, 1927 was the reign of his career. And ironically, he began his career and ended it at the Olympic Club in Harlem. His parents, Aaron and Lola Flowers, had married December 1888 in Camille, Georgia. His older brother, Carl, and 2 sisters, Gertrude and O.C. His wife, Willie Mae Spellers, and daughter, Virgil Lee Flowers Jackson, he most admired. Tiger Flowers would relocate to Philadelphia. And it was there when he would begin his boxing career at the age of 23 in 1918. Now, he worked at the shipyards during World War I. And he one day walked into a gym called Philadelphia Jack O'Brien's. Yes, the former light heavyweight champion. Many black and Spanish fighters had trained at that gym. 1920, Flowers would take boxing seriously with Walk Miller as his manager. Flowers demanded that Walk Miller sign a contract with him because other managers had approached him. One had offered him $25,000. Tiger Flowers wanted to stay loyal to Walk Miller. Tiger Flowers would change into his blue trunks, which had a flower on his left leg. He was a deeply religious man who quoted the gospel from a passage at the Psalms 144 before every bout. Flowers was a southpaw and won his first 25 bouts. August 1921, he was KO'd by Panama Joe Gans. He would win the next 4 bouts before facing Panama Joe Gans once again. December 1921, this time by 5th round knockout. He would suffer from. In 1922, Tiger Flowers would have 20 bouts. February 21st, 1922, he would KO in the 4th round the Fighting Gorilla, the original Gorilla Jones. Would also defeat twice Eddie Palmer. Eddie Palmer would become the colored welterweight champion. And Coco Kid would take that title away from Eddie Palmer. He won by KO by many fighters, but unfortunately he was knocked out himself by Sam Langford, June 5th, 1922 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was stopped in the 2nd round. Would also be stopped by Lee Anderson, May 9th, 1922 in Mexico City, by KO in the 7th round. Would also be knocked out by Kid Norfolk, January 11th, 1922, Atlanta, Georgia. He'd be stopped in the third round. And he would be knocked out by Jamaica Kid, July 26, 1922, all in the same year. Covington, Kentucky. He'd be stopped in the second round. Now, it's ironic, all these men have in common. They would all become the colored champion. Kid North would be the colored light heavyweight champion. He faced the Alabama Kid and Lee Anderson. Sam Langford would become the colored middleweight, colored heavyweight champion. Jamaica Kid, very powerful puncher he was. 1923, he would lose to Kid Norfolk, fireman Jim Flynn. 1924, Tiger Flowers fought 36 times. August 24th, 1924, he faced middleweight champion Harry Greb in an overweight bout, 10 rounds, no decision. Because in that bout, referee never made a decision, so it was ruled a no decision. Many thought the Tiger Flowers had defeated Harry Greb. 1925, Tiger Flowers fought 31 times. December 23rd, 1925, Flowers lost a controversial 10-round split decision with light heavyweight champion Irish Mike Mateague. Most observers thought Flowers had won easily. February 26, 1926, Greb and Flowers was meet at the New York Madison Square Garden in front of a screaming spectating audience, 16,311. Tiger Flowers was win the World Middleweight Championship. He grossed the gate $105,134.70. Referee was Ed Gunboat Smith. August 19, 1926, he rematched with Greb. Opened up a slight cut over the eye of Tiger Flowers. Greb was consistently shook with a hard left, and Flowers would move around Greb, not realizing at the time that Greb had poor vision in one eye. December 3rd, 1926, Flowers would lose a very controversial split decision against the welterweight toy bulldog, Mickey Walker. At the Coliseum in Chicago, Flowers was off balance. Referee Benny Yeager first called it a slip, but then he was persuaded to call it an official knockdown. In front of 11,000 crowds that was screaming with high-tense emotion over the decision. $80,000, $90,000 gate. 1927, Flowers would have two draws with Maxie Rosenblum, who would become a future light heavyweight champion. One draw with Leo Lomsky. He knocked out Tut Jackson and George Jones. November of 1927, Tiger Flowers was hospitalized in New York, and he would die at the hospital table. With the normal procedure of removing a scar tissue from around his eyes. Harry Greb was once quoted as saying that Tiger Flowers was the best fighter that he had ever faced. And Harry Greb felt that Tiger Flowers could whip Jack Dempsey. Was entered into the Ring magazine in 1971 and the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, the International Hall of Fame in 1993. 75,000 mourners had passed the coffin, 7,000 in the city auditorium. Flowers had won on a 10-round disqualification against a fighter who was just not willing to cooperate. His name was Frank Corbon. He kept hitting Tiger Flowers while he was sitting on a stool. He was hitting the manager. He was uncontrollable. That was one of the most outrageous fights that Tiger Flowers had participated in. Meanwhile, he would defeat Tom King, Tut Jackson, Bob Lawson, Fireman Jim Flynn, Sailor Gardner, in battling men's. 1924, he defeated Clem Jackson, Jamaica Kid 3 times, battling Gahi, Lee Anderson. A decision was never rendered against the Harry Greb fight. And Tiger Flowers was such an underrated fighter. So many controversies in his career. When he fought the toy bulldog, Mickey Walker, many thought that Tiger Flowers was jobbed. Because Mickey Walker, manager, was tied to the mob, Al Capone. And in the 9th round, Tiger Flowers had went down, but it was because of a slip. And it was ruled that way by Benny Yeager. But 30 seconds later, it was reversed into a knockdown. Tiger Flowers was one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. He was a southpaw. And what made him unique was that he would preach the gospel word before every bout. He prayed for him and his opponent. He was soft-spoken, somewhat like Mark Breland, but he could punch. 1926, Tiger Flowers would defeat Harry Greb. And Tiger Flowers would become the second Black American champion and the first Black middleweight champion in boxing history. And Harry Greb would defeat Johnny Wilson, 1923. Johnny Wilson would defeat Mike O'Dowd in 1920. And Mike O'Dowd would defeat Al McCoy, November of 1917. Now, I wanted to show you in this Tiger Flowers scrapbook an illustration that Tiger Flowers had defeated Mike McTeague, but they gave the bout to Mike McTeague. And it shows in these articles that the crowd all tried to protest in behalf of Tiger Flowers. Here you have Mike McTeague and Tiger Flowers. It's a Christmas fun bout in New York. Mike McTeague gets the verdict over Tiger Flowers. Mike McTeague, who was the former light heavyweight champion, left, and Tiger Flowers, the Georgia Negro, fighting in close and during their verdict or recent 10-round encounter in New York's Madison Square Garden. Decision to Mike McTeague came in for considerable criticism. It was a middleweight. Flowers had landed a glancing left to McTeague's face. The bottom is Fidel LaBarber. He was also on that card. And I want to show you. Here you have Mike McTeague learns there's a Santa Claus, which means he was given a gift. Fans think Tiger Flowers an easy victor over the Irishman, but guest judges had hand ladder the verdict in the free fun show. And here you have Tiger Flowers, Harry Greb. They fought in New York's Madison Square Garden. 1926. Now, these men were in the ring 3 times. First one was called a no decision because the referee never gave a verdict. Many observers felt as though Tiger Flowers won that fight. Then he would give Harry Greb a return go, same year in 1926, right before the death of Harry Greb. Harry Greb would lose once again to Tiger Flowers. So this is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series, stating all great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to the Georgia Deacon, Tiger Flowers, Harry Greb, Mickey Walker.